Hey everybody, welcome back to Live to Fish, and today we're going to talk about my 5 top lures for beginning fishermen. Notice I didn't say techniques. I'm not going to talk about rigs specifically. This is specifically talking about the baits you should be using if you're just getting into bass fishing, and these things will always catch fish. But these lures are so diverse, you can kind of change it up so much that you can interchange everything, and well, we'll just get to it and you'll see what I'm talking about. And this is just one in a series of beginner videos that I'm going to be doing, and it's mainly focused on a follow-up to that video that I did on setting up a kid's fishing pole. I've gotten a lot of messages from you asking for some advanced techniques, some things that now your skill set has improved a little bit. Now what can I do to catch more fish? So this video series is going to be focused more towards you, the beginners, the intermediate, and yeah, even the experts might get something out of it. So let's take a quick look at my top 5 lure recommendations for beginning bass fishermen. I'm going to avoid the whole suspense building thing. We're going to start off with my number 1 favorite lure, and that is the Yamamoto Senko. And again, not just a stick bait, the Yamamoto Senko. This one here is in green pumpkin black flake. And again, made by Yamamoto Baits. Now they are kind of the hallmark of stick baits. Pretty much everybody copies these things, but what they don't get is the composite that these are made out of. These things have such an action on the fall, they always get bit. And when you want to talk about diversity, I'm going to talk about the bait and how it applies to different techniques. You can fish this on a Texas rig, you can fish this on a wacky rig, you can fish this on a Tokyo rig. You can also fish this by trimming off pieces of it and putting it onto a Ned rig. So this one little Yamamoto Senko can be fished in so many ways, and they have so many colors, so many options, different sizes. I prefer the 5-inch fatty. Now I also have some 7-inch fat ones as well, which that really didn't come out right, but the 7-inch fat ones get the bigger bite. So if you saw my last video where I was kind of trying to deter some of the dinks from biting, you want to go with a bigger profile on whatever you're throwing. So again, my number 1 pick is the Yamamoto Senko. Can't go wrong. Now, my number 2 bait would be a creature bait. Now this kind of ranges from everything from craws to grubs to beaver style baits like this. Now this here is the Crush City Bronco Bug. New, just out for a couple years now. And also one of my favorites are the Missile Baits D-Bomb. This is the baby D-Bomb here. Now you can see with this creature bait, it's got some bellows on it. It's a little bit different, and that's going to give you a little bit more action. It's going to dispel a little bit more water. And by dispel, I really mean displace, but you know, I'm kind of going on the fly here. Now, whether we're talking about the beaver style baits like this for pitching and flipping, or if you're going to talk about maybe the craws, some of the brand names, Bandito Bug, those types of things, those can be used in many different ways as well, from Texas rigged to using them as trailers. You can put them on the back of a spinner bait, on the back of a chatter bait, and you can put that and change it up in many different ways. Again, when you talk about diversity, you can change this up in so many different ways and have so many uses for this one bait. And on that same note, a very simple fluke would be my number 3rd choice. My number 3rd. I'm just not good at this ad-libbing thing. So my number 3 choice kind of falls into that same category. Again, it's a soft plastic. It would be a fluke style bait. Now, a lot of these fluke style baits are now being referred to as like a sway minnow or a jig head minnow, that sort of thing. So these little baits have a lot of diversity as well. They have an underbelly so that if you want to hook it with a weighted EWG hook, you can do that. And the larger sizes, even the smaller sizes, are very effective with that weighted hook because you can throw that and kind of use it as a soft jerk bait. Now, these are super effective as well on a drop shot, and also one of the techniques is to obviously use a jig head. So the fluke is another very diverse bait that you can use in a lot of different techniques. Again, I'll get into the techniques later, but you definitely want to pick up something like this because it definitely has a lot of different uses for it. Now, something that's not a soft bait that is, again, one of my favorites is a spinner bait. So coming in at number 4 is the spinner bait. Now, there's a lot of different styles out there, a lot of different weights. I prefer for Lake St. Clair a 3/8 ounce spinner bait, and I prefer the ones that have both a Colorado blade and a willow blade. The reason being is because the Colorado will give you more vibration, more of a thump, The willow will give you more flash. But depending on what the bait fish situation is and what I'm chasing out there, and again, it's going to be bass, whether it be smallmouth or largemouth, but what are they foraging on is what I'm kind of gauging this too. So if I'm seeing a lot of minnows, and again, the water's crystal clear, I may use something with a little bit more of a dual willow blade, so I'm getting a little bit more flash and it's imitating more bait fish. Or I may go with the dual willow blade and one that's hammered and kind of dimpled out so that it imitates and kind of gives more flash, so it looks like there's more bait fish than there actually is. But generally, for the most part, I like something that kind of gives me both, because the majority of the time I'm not in clear water, I'm in stained water, and I want something with a little bit of thump, a little bit of flash. It covers both bases and it gets bit. And here's an example of a spinner bait with 2 of the willow blades on there, so more of a flash, more of a clear water day casting. And again, whether you're fishing for bass or multi-species, the pike, muskie, they will bite this in a heartbeat. The downside is I've been using braid with this, straight braid, and it gets bit off. That's just a simple fact. The toothy critters will take these from you, and it's a sad fact. I hate that. But anyway, they definitely catch the bass. They will get you on some fish. And again, my preference, willow blade, Colorado blade combination. And again, I don't really go with the hammered out blades and those dimpled blades unless I'm gonna be in super clear conditions, super calm day, and I want a really slow roll. And usually I get the lower profile ones, something a little bit lighter than the 3/8 ounce. And last but not least, since we've already kind of covered the spinner bait, we're gonna go with that right there. We're gonna take a look at jigs, and mainly skirted jigs. Not jig heads, but skirted jigs. This here, I'll just show you before I take it out of there. This is the Dirty Jigs Weekender, okay? This right here is a swim jig. The Weekender also comes in a general purpose pitching jig. But I like the swim jigs because I like that kind of pointed head to it, and I like the way the line, when you tie it on, this is actually kind of straightforward instead of horizontal, it's vertical, so it's going to give you that straight pull. I like throwing these with a swim bait or a fluke on the back of these. A lot of times when it's crystal clear, I'm not throwing any trailer on them. I'm throwing these strictly by themselves. Again, this right here is 3/8 ounce. I also tend to trim down the weed guard on these a little bit. And if you saw my last video, when I threw this with one of the beaver style baits on it, man, it got slammed by a 4-pound largemouth. So again, my 5th and final pick for baits would be the skirted jig. Again, whether it be a football jig, whether it be a swim jig like this, a pitching and flipping jig, the diversity of this bait as well, it can be fished by itself, but you can also combine it with those other soft baits on my list. So with these 5 baits in your tackle box, you're gonna have all the bases covered, whether it be power fishing with the spinner bait, or you're gonna have it, or you can actually use the swim jig here as a power bait. Throw a nice little flapping craw on there and burn that, and I'll tell you what, you can cover a lot of water with these things, or you can use it, again, a football jig head with a grub on the back of there. You can throw that out for smallmouth, just let it land, do a slow drag, and they will hit it all day long. So again, just 5 baits will cover you on so many different techniques that no matter what the water conditions present, you're gonna be able to give a presentation to get you bit. So I hope you found this information useful, and if you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and leave me a comment down below. What are some of your go-to baits? Again, not techniques, but what are your go-to baits that you've been using for years that never let you down? And let me know some of the diverse ways you've used these baits to kind of change it up with the techniques. So until next time, be safe, be well, and as always, live to fish. Tight lines, everybody.